Hey, She Slayers, and welcome to another episode of She Slays the Day podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lauryn Brunslick. And today we have a really cool marketing conversation happening. I've been in practice for 15 years and I've seen a lot of trends in marketing. And to be honest, I've done a lot of trends in marketing. And I don't want to say I'm burnt out when it comes to marketing, but I don't know what else I would call it. No, I'm bored. I'm probably more bored. And if you're new to the podcast, this fits in lovely because the three topics we love to cover is boredom, being broke, and burnt out, and how to avoid all three when you work in healthcare. So today we have on a dear friend of mine. His name is Dr. Jake Grinaker. Actually, is it Grinaker or Grinaker? Now I'm getting in my head. I'm pretty sure it's Grinaker. Oh, good friend, Lauryn. No, I've literally known the guy for over a decade. He was my coach, chiropractic coach at one point. I've gotten to work alongside him. I've gotten to spend a lot of really quality time understanding who he is as a quality entrepreneur, business owner, family man. But we have a bit of a brother sister relationship. So if you are picking up on any weird jabs, it's because it's my podcast and I can make fun of him all I want. And even though he drops some real good truth bomb, like this is a top 10 marketing episode. I also don't let people on just for any reason. So I didn't want to just come on, like have him on to just talk about marketing. The reason he's on is because we were chit-chatting, catching up, and he was sharing something that really freaking innovative that he is doing to get new patients. So this is specifically for chiropractors currently, but hey, before you pause and press stop, I would urge you to listen because one, we have just a great conversation about marketing that isn't specific to chiropractic. But two, this is so innovative that like I would dare you to listen and think, how can you use this in your profession to get new patients as well? So now, like any shit of a guest, he did not provide me with a bio. This is what happens when you're friends with people and they're like, oh, I don't know, you just make up something. Literally, the jerk goes, this is the bio he sent me to read. Just a dipshit who's found 10,000 ways that don't work and a few ways that do. Make up whatever. Well, when I get the green light to make up someone's bio, I go to my best friend, ChatGPT, and I fill in some necessary information about my guest. But then with Jake, just to make it special, I said, let's roast him. So here is Chat's roast bio of Dr. Jake Grinaker. Today's guest is Dr. Jake Grinaker, a wildly successful chiropractor from the blistering hot business hub of Fargo, North Dakota. And by blistering, we mean emotionally. Jake is a red-headed ginger who wisely chose to settle in Fargo because, let's be honest, he'd combust anywhere with actual sunlight. He's been coaching chiropractors for over 15 years, which is impressive until you remember his clientele is mostly people who just, oh my God, it's roasting chiropractors too. Until you remember his clientele is mostly people who just realize their student loans don't vanish when you hang a spine on the wall. Okay. Jake runs a thriving clinic in Fargo, which is kind of like being the best sushi chef in Nebraska. Yes, it counts, but we still have questions. When he's not adjusting vertebrae or dropping motivational wisdom, he's living his best life, golfing, boating, and watching hockey like it's his second job. You know, real dangerous adrenaline pumping hobbies for a suburban dad. He's also married to an actual angel, which we know because no one that calm ends up with Jake on accident. Prepare for laughs, humble brags in disguise, and just enough upper Midwest charm to make you say, "Oh, he is kind of cute for a ginger and fleece." So let that be a lesson to all of you. When you're a guest on She Slays the Day, bring a damn bio or else I will make one up for you. All right, let's take a breath, center ourselves, and pray. Dear God, thank you so much for longstanding mentors and relationships in our lives. I know that mentors don't always show up as someone we're paying, but they are these angels in disguise that we know we can call. We may not have talked to them in years, but we can call when shit hits the fan. It is so important to have these mentors in our lives that share morals with us, that have an aligned vision for what we are seeking to have impact on, because we know this is not all about new patients. We know that what is the point of building a massive clinic and coaching others if it's at the expense of our own health or the health of the relationship in that matters most to us, our family and our spouse and our relationship with you. So dear God, thank you so much for people like Jake, that they can show a fine example of not constantly chasing more, and they can stand as a true representative for what matters most when you are here to have a big, massive impact. In your name we pray. Amen. Without further ado, here is one of the most innovative ideas I've heard in marketing in a long time with Dr. Jay Grinaker. Enjoy. So for people, I don't trust that I'll remember to say this in the intro. So I need to say this now because so you and I go back 8 or 9 years now.
Yeah, at least.
And so if anybody's picking up on like snarky sarcasm, Jake did nothing to offend me prior to this interview. I didn't piss him off. Well, not that I know. I mean, I didn't have him on the podcast for 306 episodes or whatever.
I do have a checklist going of how many days it was since you've asked
How
me.
many days? I am offended. But yeah. So as long as I have known you, you have been a coach for chiropractors.
Mhm.
Still doing that. You still like chiropractors, huh?
Most days, most days, it's good, and I think it's a lot of iterations of it. I think the term coach, I think over the years kind of makes my skin crawl, and I've told people
How so?
just like I can't drag you across the finish line, like a coach would, or nor do I really want to at this point anymore. It's more of that, consultant, throw ideas off. Like I've found about 350,000 ways to do something wrong, and a few ways to do it right along the way. And if you have an idea, or you're struggling, you're at a crossroads, you have something going on, let's hash it out. Like, okay, here's some potential obstacles you may not see. Here's some ones you're running into. Here's some possibilities. Here's how I've seen it done. Here's how I screwed it up. Here's how I lost $500,000. Here's how all the things. Like, but you are driving the ship, and you're also, most people I work with are brilliant. Like, and you may have an answer on there that we didn't even talk about, like, or is the next thing you're teaching someone else about. So it's morphed. It's really morphed over the years. And I also feel like you and I came up cut from the same cloth about, you got to learn scripts, and there's one way to do things, and this is the way, this is the model, there's only one thing, which I just think is incredibly unfulfilling as well. So you kind of get like, oh, even if you do it right, even if you crush it, even if you win, you kind of get to the end, you're like, this isn't really who I am or what I enjoy. So that's really changed, over the years. My idea of practice has changed over the years. What it needs to look like, what it needs to be. It's really just changed. But there is principles, there is things that kind of work and don't work. There is, spreading yourself too thin. There's chasing 50 things. There's a lot of tried and true principles, but there really isn't one way to do things. And I think it's the one thing I've kind of enjoyed over the time. But it's also frustrating when people are like, just tell me what to do. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but then you realize, like, I'll tell you, I would love, like, that's why I started a podcast, is just, I don't want to go back and forth and do Socratic. I just want to tell you, here's what you need to do. Unsolicited advice. But then you learn, like, well, then it's on you to do it.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's an evolution so like my evolution with coaching, like I've just softened so much in the last like year or two also, but like really who I want to work with, of like, I only really want to work with people who value at a higher level. Do you think that that is the evolution of all coaching, like across multiple different businesses? Or like, do you think like, yeah, when I was coaching people when I was 30, this is how I coached them. But now that I've been coaching people for 15 years and I'm in my mid 40s, I just have changed. Is that the normal process? Or do you think coaching is changed from like 2019 to 2025?
That's a great question. And if I had to say what I thought, I think it's
Yeah.
probably the latter, right? Is that you can probably find ways and places and people who will just tell you to do it this way, and this is the way you have to do it and to be successful. I just think it's, you teach from a place of scar tissue. And I think,
Oh God, I love
yeah,
that. We need to put
yeah,
that on a fucking
yeah.
shirt.
And I didn't, that's not my thing. Someone else said that. And if I could remember who it was, I would credit the,
Yeah.
copyright.
Not Jake. We'll make sure that's
Not,
on the shirt.
yeah,
Not Jake
yeah,
Grinaker.
yeah, not Jake. But I think that the truth of the matter is that you just, over the years, it's like when you're really hard and fast on something and it just doesn't really work out. You're like, that's interesting. Or when someone does something some other way and they're like super happy, you know what I mean? Or they're like, oh, maybe this isn't a way to do it. Or maybe I took way too hard of a stance on something I shouldn't have taken too hard of a stance of. So I think it's the scar tissue part. I also think and I think those that have humility get there quicker, about like I don't have all the answers. I don't have the only way. There's people out there that are way more successful, way more X, Y, or Z or whatever that I am. That I think you just realize that. And I think humility helps you get there quicker. But I just think the longer you're in the game and the business game and the consulting game and the whatever game, you just realize that there's a lot of ways to do things, and there's a lot of people doing things different ways. And I think you just find, like you said, softened. I love that word. I love how you said that. If you soften to it, or you've just wised up, or whatever it
Right.
be, there's just so many different things out there that are amazing.
Well, it's almost like with everything, it's multifactorial, because I have a feeling that whether there's a brand new graduate in chiropractic, vet, dentistry, whatever, just somebody who is looking for coaching to grow their clinic, right? Whether it's 2025 or 2017, I feel like the coachee goes through this evolution too, where like you come out and you literally just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. And then there's a certain type of coaching that's like, and here's your script, and here's your this, and here's your that, because that they're like, just tell me what to say. Just tell me what to do. And then like you kind of like the next evolution of that is like, oh, I don't want someone to just tell me what to do. I want someone to give me a structure or a rubric. And then so like the coachee kind of evolves. And at any given point, the coach also evolves out of like, I'm sick of just telling what to do. I want like more critical thinkers and people using that. And so like, I think that because have you ever had someone in your like a high level financial? Okay. Because like along that spectrum, the price increases, right? Like, I think you and I both probably pay $50,000 a year in mentorship and like just to be in that room because a single conversation could be worth $20,000 easy. Like, that your brain, but you don't get to just graduate and have that wisdom. Like everything is so like ROI of like, what am I going to get for $800 a month? And like at a certain point, you don't soften, you harden to like, oh, that's your mentality of what's your ROI on $800 a month. You're putting the responsibility on me,
Mhm.
where you start to learn like, no, the responsibility's on you.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to deliver value, but like, I'm sure you've coached someone who wrote a very healthy check, but mentally they still were like at that like lower level.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I think when you're in that stage you described early on, it's like when you go to buy something and it compares the two things, like all the check boxes, right? And you're saying like, well, how many check boxes do I get for $800 or whatever? And now it's totally exactly like you said. It's just changed. Like I just need to be in the right room, and I don't even know what the topic is on. Don't
Right.
care. Like I know something's going to come out of this. And now I'll go into a meeting with like the right people. And like you talked about some of those mastermind groups, those calls, it's like if I don't come out of this call with $50,000 worth of value, like that is totally on me because that
Mm.
is the right people, that are in it. But going back to what you said about, kind of climbing that arc, I just actually heard it on a podcast. It was the author Bloom was his last name. I think he wrote like the five types of wealth, and it was just
Okay.
talking about all the different types of wealth. And it was like there's not one that's good or bad, or there's other, and I think in that first arc of your career, you're chasing that, the monetary wealth, right? You're
Mhm.
chasing that, and there's value in someone telling you, do it this way, do it this point, just tell me what to do. There's
Right.
value. You get to a point, whatever. But when you're chasing that wealth goal, there's like this curve to where when you're on the way up, there is a lot of things like wealth can buy happiness to a certain point when you're on that upslope, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you can get the thing, or, oh, I have the boat, or I have the things that like create some of that happiness when you're on that upward slope of the curve. But you get to a point where it just doesn't do it anymore. And I
Right.
think for me, that was a really big, like, aha as well as oh shit moment because I couldn't motivate myself even the same way. Like, oh, I'm just going to put this thing on my vision board and that will propel me forward because it just doesn't do it anymore.
So what
And
did you do then?
it was
Some
a
people just put bigger stuff on the vision board, and some people, like if you're an Enneagram 3 or 7, you can kind of like morph into like I'm gonna have bigger impact, but like you're such a content human with like I was joking before we started recording of like you're in Fargo with your beautiful family and your beautiful house and your boat, and I could just see you being like, shit,
yeah.
I don't
I'm glad
need
I come across as a content human being. Like that is good. I'm glad I'm giving that
your
personality.
imagery is great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think it's realizing the other four parts of wealth or all the other things, right? Is because like if you go from X amount of net worth or X amount of value, I mean, if you go from zero, there's a lot of problems with not having money too. Like there's a lot of problems if you don't have it. And it's not meant to minimize. It's always funny when like, the Warren Buffetts of the world talk about money's not important. Well, you have $100 billion. Like, of course it's not important to you, right? But there is a level that like it is important, right?
Right.
But the key of it is it's decreasing returns on it. Like once you have like,
And there's like a studied amount. It's
yeah,
like it's like mid one between 100 and 200,000.
yeah,
It's like it's really and like it still improves, but at a substantially
drastically
less.
less.
Yeah.
So you have to look at all the other things. Like where is my, do I have health wealth, right? Do I have that's going to take me that way? Spiritual wealth. Do I have relational health? Do my relationships matter? Like, so all these other kind of things, they start to become they're moving the needle more. And I think for me, it just got to the point of like, okay, like this is great. And I think, the thing that I get kind of told sometimes is that like, it's just you're such a closed book. And I'm like, no, I'm not a closed book to anyone that I know. Like I will tell you anything that I've screwed up on, that I've succeeded on, whatever. To me, it just doesn't really matter. Like the things that like people want to know about or hear about, don't really matter. Like we had before we kind of hit play or record, we were talking about kind of the real estate part. Like I've done a lot of really cool things in real estate and currently doing a lot of really cool things in real estate. But to me, it just doesn't matter that much. It's just kind of like, hey, what are you doing to improve your health? Like, how's your spirituality? Like, how are your friends? Like that part to me, like matters so much more than this other stuff that I almost feel like maybe I'm just at a point in my life I want to talk to those people that are through that mountain, and I'm just not at a
Right.
point where I need to climb the people talking. But man, it's just the other things matter so much more once you get to a point that I hope that becomes talked about, right? I hope that's what's like, where do you find fulfillment? And Lauryn, you're doing a lot of it. Like you're doing a lot of it right now to be like, where are you filling that bucket other places? Because it's not just here. It's you're more than just a chiropractor. Like there's other things about you. It's not doesn't have to be all about practice 24/7. You don't have to do it exactly this way. I think it's really healthy to have those conversations. And I think we at least cut our teeth in an era of chiropractic where that wasn't the case. And I think the
No.
more it's talked about, the better for sure.
Yeah. So how much are you still practicing? Like adjusting?
So really all over. Talk to, some people will talk about like, hey, you ride these waves and you get to points. I'm like, I feel like I've ridden 50,000 waves, right? Now I'm back in there probably half, three-quarter time. Within the last 4 years, I've been between like 10% and 110%. Like I didn't have any chiropractors with me for like a short period of time, which almost killed me. Like, so I've been all over the board, right? And I think, with that, it's just finding that sweet spot, and I'm pretty close to being there. I enjoy practice. I love it. I love being in there, and I also love like now profitability, like
Yeah.
that's like
We really didn't talk about that a ton, I feel like, in
no,
2020.
no. Like let's talk about the top number, like all bunch, because that's what you put on a t-shirt or that's what you celebrate. But yeah, we were really good at the top number for a long time, and you know really bad at the bottom one for about that same amount of time. So yeah, it's just finding that kind of part, and I
Yeah.
think I'm probably close now, to where is ideal, and yeah, it's
Continuing to ride the waves until you get slammed by another one.
when I hit the bottom of the ocean on the next one and ride it back up.
Riptide. Okay, so you and I, like one of the key reasons I wanted to have you on is because we were catching up and you were talking about, we were bitching about marketing
Yeah,
as just, I mean, God, it's so interesting because just when you've been in practice for a while, like, so first of all, I started in 2010. When were you? 2001?
I started 2009, right at
Okay.
the beginning of '09. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, so we didn't even have like a Facebook page for your business. Like I
Randy.
had it, but
Yeah.
it was kind of optional.
Oh yeah.
Like it wasn't even like, oh, you have a Facebook page, how fancy. It was just like, should I make this? Like, whatever. So it's really to say that marketing has evolved. I mean, I don't feel like in-person events has recovered since 2020. Has that been your experience?
100%. It changed, and I think that's what's the most frustrating. It's usually where I bitch most about marketing, and probably you are in the same boat when you talk to people. Is like, listen, I wish it worked the same way. Like, I don't want to change. I just want to do everything the exact same way I did in 2018. Like, this is awesome. This is great. And then you spend like 3 years in mourning, like, oh, it's not working until you realize,
Yeah,
like,
keep trying. Maybe I need it at a better
maybe it's,
location. Maybe I need a
yeah.
different day or
And
time.
I bet it's the ad we're running, or whatever.
Yes.
It's like it changed. And I think the biggest thing that we noticed through that is, and we were in a pretty isolated area as far as like the COVID stuff and whatever, is that we were still allowed, finger quote, to do things. But what I noticed it radically transformed consumer behavior. Like, and the
Mhm.
behavior of people changed, and how they wanted to consume things, and what really mattered anymore. And it took us a while to like find a way through. I don't even know if we still found our way through it. It's just understanding it, embracing it, not trying to like no, it can't be, it's just kind of like, okay, it changed, and what do we need to do to change, and where do we go from there is really the
Yeah.
questions we've noticed.
Yeah. I mean, you used to just be able to host an event, have 50 people show up and sign up 30 to 60 new patients.
Yep.
And it's just like, you're right, like consumer behavior changed. I feel like we pouted about it for about 3 years. Like pouted, like really took on that, like it's us doing something. Right now, personally, from our clinic, I feel like we haven't sorted our way through it
Mhm.
and have really just been relying on meta ads, which there are so many meta, like, it's like, okay, so really the solution to get like $20,000 of new patients is to spend $4,000 on like, and it's like, all right, I'll do that. But like, there's still got to be a little bit of this way. So what do you think? Like, have you read anything? Have you like philosophized on like, what do you think the consumer behavior like What is it now? My 2 cents, and it's really not, it's just people are so damn busy now.
Yeah. So I always think that like it used to be easier back in the day, like we're fighting big pharma or we're fighting this kind of stuff. And that was kind of the case. So it was cool when you could see like these victories. And I think the thing we're fighting now is just indifference. Like people just don't care. Like they're not like leaving your office and doing X, Y, or Z. They're just not doing anything. Like it's so you're fighting this bit of indifference. But I think that kind of the aha moment for me, and again, I'm the same way, Lauren. We have not figured it out. So I'm not coming from you from like the top of the mountain of like, here's how to do it, right? We're climbing back until we fall off the other side again and then reclimb it. Maybe we'll be talking about this again in a few years. But what really kind of like was like an aha moment for me, I'm like, okay, wait a second. Marketing hasn't changed in however many years. How we market changes, the tools change, all this kind of stuff, but it really hasn't. And we look at how do we attract new patients? It's in person or leads. Like that's it. Like we used to get leads through the yellow pages. And those that are younger than us, like just fast forward this part, you don't know what that is, right?
What?
Yeah, it used to be like handouts or door hangers there, but it was leads, right? That was kind of the idea. Or you meet someone, you're there, you do a screening, you do whatever. It's that face-to-face interaction. You get commitment, they know, like, and trust you, and boom, they come in. So it's like that cold leads and then the warm leads, you want to call it, or in person versus whatever. That's really not all that different, right? You're just talking about like now the leads aren't yellow pages or, door hangers, or maybe, some of that stuff might work. And it's like corduroy
I
pants, right?
almost feel like we're going to start returning to old
You
school
wait,
stuff, but
yeah,
like,
you
yeah.
wait long enough, it'll just come back, right? But it's meta ads and it's landing pages and it's go high level and it's CRMs and all this kind of stuff. And you're right, some of that is just a numbers game. Like, do you have the right people and can you get the numbers? But also, can we be unique in a way that we get back in front of people? Like, and
Mhm.
how do we do that? Because we were just, and again, it's painful, but we were at like a charity auction fundraiser event on Saturday, Brittany and I, and like we both left saying the same thing. It's like, like old school networking and doing that stuff is still valuable, right? As
Mhm.
long as we've been here, as
No, you don't want it to be because you don't want to do it, but you're like,
oh, yeah.
person to person is still. I had a student in multi-passionate chiropreneur this past year, and she's the youngest in this like subgroup of 8, and she had like over 400 and some new patients last year. And like all these docs who've been in practice for 10 to 20 years are like, oh, what is the thing? Tell me. It was screenings.
Mhm.
She was like, screenings.
Yep.
We go and meet a person and
Yep.
we educate the person and then we exchange information and the person comes. And like you could just tell all these like docs were just deflated, like, no.
What's the landing page you use? What's the thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your SEO that you're, yeah. But no, just greetings.
Yeah. And with that, you look at that doc who's probably hungry, right? They were
Yeah.
probably had a message that was burning inside of them, right? So whenever they got a chance to meet someone, like they did it, right? And
Yeah.
again, this is something for me, I don't really like the word burnout or any of those because I don't think I've felt that, but it was like I had
It's
to have
bored.
yeah, I had to little bored, great word.
Yeah.
I had to have a little bit of a come to Jesus, about like I remember being in a grocery store with a mom with a crying baby and snot in ears, and I would literally be like, tell me about this baby, like give them a card, let's get them in here. There's other answers for ear infections. And I did this moment like, would I do that now? And if the answer is no, then I doubt meta ads will work the same. I doubt I'm as good as a screening. I doubt that, when I'm doing a talk, will they be as effective? Because am I as passionate? Am I as fired up? Or am I have whatever? And it's either time to like restoke that passion or that fire, or what are you passionate about? You know what I mean? It may not be the same demographic that you did before, or whatever it may be. But it was a little bit of a pucker factor moment of like, you know, what is that? What is that that gets me like, man, you squeeze me and that comes out? And it hadn't changed a whole lot. I just kind of forgot that that mattered,
Mhm.
really. And it was like, oh, duh, I should probably be that same way again, you know? And that was a huge part.
So what, like, talk to me about this like new thing you're doing. Talk to me about like where you were that this like idea came to you. Did you see someone else doing it? Did you read a book? Like, how did you come up with this like new way to get in front of people?
You know, it's probably a perfect lead in on that. And is that the idea? It was in this like, you know, moment of like, what am I passionate about? Am I doing the things? Marketing's not that different. You know, it's just ways to get in front of people. And through this, you know, thing, I was looking back through old like planners and, you know, just like trying to like, what have we done? Because again, there was years, gosh, I don't even want to say this out loud because we should have a 6 million a week practice, you know, but I think it was like 2018 or 2019. We had like 1,100 new patients in the year. I'm like, I would never in a million years want that again because what we just it took to get through all those people and they all weren't whatever. But the bottom line is that we've had years where that was massively successful. So I'm trying to like look back, what was it? And I kind of came across this like thing and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot we did that. Like we somehow then, I don't even remember then how we got this idea. I think I was talking to like a daycare provider that was in the office, and she was mentioning she had to go to a CE course that night, and it sounded super boring and whatever. And I was like, "Oh, really?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, it's on like, you know, children's health, and you know, the presenter's so boring, and you know, we get a couple credits for it though, so we all go." And I was like, "Hmm, I wonder if we can provide CE credits for daycares." So looked it up. Apparently, there was a daycare board or whatever. Um, called them, went through the process, and they're like, tried to get our raising healthy children naturally class to see if we could, you know, get it approved, and it was. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. So we just started calling daycare centers, and they welcomed us in and loved it. And you know, at the time, you know, we were both involved in some of this coaching stuff, so everybody wanted to hear about it. Like, this is the most amazing thing ever. The problem is that they were not ideal patients, right? It was a
Well,
lot
yeah,
like
yeah.
it was a lot of like 19-year-old college girls that are working
Mhm.
there. So it was like the classes were amazing.
And it's almost like the reliance is that they're going to be passionate about this message and give it to
A
the
parent.
parent.
Yeah, yeah. And that didn't happen. As bad as I say it was, I still probably have a few of those daycare providers that
Right.
15 years later are still patients. So it's like, it's not bad. It just wasn't this huge thing, right?
Right.
So because it wasn't a huge thing and it
Yeah,
took
because there
away.
was a hurdle, there was a person in between you and the potential new patient.
Yes. And it was like the hope was maybe we can get in front of the parents. If you like this, maybe we can do it for the parents. It didn't really work out. It was a huge lift. It never had a whole lot of success. So after a while, we just kind of buried it, you know, and then so many people asked me about it that I got so sick of talking about it. I was just like, I just like buried this whole thing, you know, put 6 feet of dirt over it. Didn't want to think about it again. But anyways, when I was going through this planner, I read something about this event we had, you know, then, and I was like, man, that was really great in a way, but not great. Um, at the same time that that happened, I had a dentist that's a patient come in, mention something about continuing ed class that weekend, and it was like, whoa, like, you know, it's that like neurons, that picture of neurons coming together. I was like, what if we rebirth this idea but for like dentists, dental hygienists, dental assistants, they're by far like a category of amazing patients. They have like a ton of disposable income. Like I think hygienists make like between 80 and 100 a year, depending where you're at. They all work like 6 hours a week. So you know they can get in to the office, right? And it was like, I wonder if we could do something like that. This wasn't a program, this wasn't anything. This is
Right.
like just for Strive. Let's see if we can do it. Unfortunately, and as you could probably imagine, the dental board is a little more organized than the daycare board, a little bit more degrees and involvement and whatever.
They're
So
like, we're not just gonna let
we're just
you
not going to let
come.
some random
I'm
guy.
a doctor too.
Yeah, oh, not the case. So it was this incredibly long process. Didn't think it was actually going anywhere because I didn't hear anything.
And you like, is this the National Dental Board or your
This was just
state?
our state one. This was just
Okay.
our,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, because CEs are state
Yeah,
dependent.
state
Yeah. Okay.
system, yeah. So, but anyways, we heard back and we're like, they're like, yes, this sounds great, actually. We put in there a bunch. I learned a bunch from dentists. So while this process we're getting approved, I have a couple of friends who are dentists and patients who are dentists, and I talk to them like, what are you seeing? Would this be valuable? So because I
Okay.
had,
So were you kind of doing like market like if
oh,
we came in and talked
100%.
about this, would that be interesting?
Yes. And I was like, what are you facing? What are you seeing? And basically they're having a lot of hygienists and assistants are having to early retire from like, they called it carpal tunnel, but it's probably thoracic outlet of like working with arms
Mm.
all day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what we do every day. And I'm like, what do you pay for credits? Like, how does that work in your profession?
Yep.
Do you have to pay for them, whatever? And they do. And they're like, some have to be in person, some can be online. Okay. So I'm just kind of gathering all of this like data. And finally, when I like put it all together, talking to enough people, I like brought it back to these people. I'm like, okay, if we did this, if we came in on your training time and did a CE course for your office on these topics, A, would that be valuable? And all this kind of stuff, like 100%, right?
You're going to
So
come to us.
yeah. So they're like, yes, absolutely. So finally, when this got approved, and again, like any good idea, this was not well planned out. This was not like
I'm
I
so
knew.
glad to hear you say that.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
so many people like look at people launching stuff and they're like, man, I bet you they had their ducks in
I
a
bet every
row
answer was figured out.
before they started that.
Yeah. So let me tell a perfect example of that. Like, so these people were paying for a bunch of CEs or paying for whatever. So when I did this, I had this idea like, well, we could charge to do this. Like, this is a massive value to someone. We've done some research. So I brought that back to the dentist. I'm like, what if we price anchored this at, you know, $700, and we said, hey, for the first 10 offices, or did some urgency, or did because you're a friend, whatever. It was $250, for us to come in there. They're like, oh my gosh, it'd be so worth it, right? I'm like, oh, cool. So we can actually get paid to go in there and deliver like a talk. The talk is about chiropractic that we
Yeah,
would
because you're
stand up,
talking about thoracic outlet syndrome. Like,
yeah, talking about all the stuff that these hygienists and dentists face, that they would become new patients.
and probably disc. Oh my
And like they're talking to people all day, like they might actually become referral sources to us. So like all this was like, oh, this is amazing. What I didn't even realize at the time that I did it, that I like wish I knew this beforehand. And not that it would have mattered, but it would have made me sound way smarter. That when we charged to come do it, what that did was it completely changed the power dynamic. We weren't begging to come in there. We weren't offering a free lunch. We weren't like, oh God, they're going to sell us on chiropractic. This is going to be pointless. They're coming in to do this free workshop and they're going to try to take all our credit cards and all this kind of stuff, which we were. But what it did is it changed the whole power dynamic to like, they're coming in to teach us. They're the experts. We're paying them to come in to where like they're getting food and asking what I want. The whole power dynamic shifted because we are charging like that you're paying us to show up. So like in something that I looked at it like, whoa, this ROI is great because we're like charging on the front end and the back and collecting new patients at the back end, did way more than that. And it changed the whole power dynamic to where like now we're like experts that are being paid to come in there to teach, their staff. So the whole thing just like went crazy. Like it was awesome. So then
Well,
yeah.
it
So
comes back to what you were talking about, how consumer behavior changed. And we're like, well, what really happened? Are people busy? People became skeptical as fuck.
mm-hmm.
Like, people across the board are like, I know you're going to sell me something, and I don't feel like being sold to. And so
Until
it's
they can see
just
your
like,
heart, until they can see who you are and that you're passionate and you care and you're not weird, because be honest.
people don't want to be sold. They want to be educated. Even if they
100%.
like you,
Yeah.
even if they like you, they know like they know the feeling that they have inside of them when someone is selling them something and they decide they actually don't want it. So then they have to like politely turn you down. So they may golf with you every Friday and whatever. They may love you, but as soon as you're like, can I come? And they're like, oh, fuck. No, it's gonna get weird because like then if I don't sign up as a patient, like I think people are just they don't want that anymore. And so like that power shift is genius. There's this trust of like, no, they're not coming to sell us. We're paying them for a service.
Yep.
And ultimately, like, I guess anybody could take this and be like, okay, I'll charge for my next pediatric workshop. Like, all right, fool me once, but like, you better deliver on the value. Like, if you are going to take this principle of the power dynamic and start charging people, okay, but like, deliver value.
100%. And there's probably other ways to change that power dynamic. Like, you know what I mean? If you were really creative, there's other ways to do that. But I think it's very important that to position yourself like, no, we're bringing you massive value. Like, that's why you're here. That's why you're whatever. And I think that's where people are successful in any platform. It's like they just deliver massive value and then it follows, right? So I think, that was definitely I didn't really and that's something, again, you've been long enough, I've been around, I've never heard of that. Nobody's ever taught me that along the way. So it wasn't like, this coach or this mentor or this whatever said to do this. This was a complete stumble into found this thing by accident that I'm happy to share with people that you can use this with whatever you're doing. How can you create that, that dynamic of, hey, this is, we're bringing you massive value for sure.
So how did it go? Like, I'm assuming it went well.
Very well. So
was there any like fumbling through, like, was there any mistakes on like the first one that you're like, oh?
Yeah, 100% got better at it, as we went. It also changed the power dynamic a little bit because you're being paid to like come in and do this. You also ethically probably shouldn't close the same way, right? That you might, if you're doing a workshop in your own office. That's just me. Some people could, be different, but all the offices that we've done, I think except one, have already scheduled us back for next year. So like, hey, we want to like, make sure we're bringing value and doing all those things. So that, changed or stumbled a little bit to where the pendulum went. Probably didn't do it hard enough. Probably went too hard. Okay, found, an even ground.
What was the sweet spot? Like,
I think where for us it was giving them an opportunity, but saying it, and again, what we did in that is we just removed ourselves, meaning, listen, I hope the point of today in which you realized is that everyone needs a chiropractor. Like, I'm looking at all of one of you, every one of you needs a chiropractor, 1000%. Does that need to be me? No. It doesn't. You all need to be under chiropractic care. And then I just go through like, hey, if we're sending someone that's moving to New York City, and we're helping them find a chiropractor, here's the criteria we look for, right? So if your chiropractor that you're seeing fits all these criteria, not that this is the only criteria, this is our criteria, then great, give them a high five, standard care, do whatever. If you're looking something different or this, wow.
Do you offer like a discounted new patient experience, or are you just?
Yeah, we use our VIP cards. So
this is but like, it's not like special for you guys today. It's like, this is a standard discount that we extend for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's not just like Tuesday. It's like, here that we're here for you. So I was kind of finding that, in it. But I mean, we found it. And the other thing too is we learned a lot from marketing it, we sent out mass emails to all of the offices in our area, and like the low-hanging fruit, there was like 7 or 8 of them that like right away, boom, email us back, set them up, done. But there's a lot more here that it probably got spammed or didn't get whatever. So now they was stumbling through. Do we bring them a packet? Do we get on the phone? Like, what are those next layers? Again, figuring all that out. So it's just kind of, basically I'm like real time figuring it out of like, hey, this was a huge thing that we found along the way, and here's what we did. And it's been a fun journey that way, but it's going back to like what I said before. There's really not, marketing hasn't changed. There's only 2 ways to do it. Still, if you can get up and meet, which is great. You had talked, I think it was before we were recording about that one doc who's killing it with screenings still, right? Like it's still an old school way of doing things. It's still one-to-one. It's still, doing all that. Workshops and talking to people are still an amazing way to show them that you're knowledgeable, that like you trust,
Yeah.
it's an amazing way. We just have to find new ways to do it. And for me, that was my favorite way. If I get in front of a group of people, man, that's my favorite way to market. I just had to find a new way to do it in 2025, and that's where we're at now.
Right. So for the continuing education program or like approval process,
Mhm.
so is one like, did this talk get approved or
Mhm.
did Jake get approved?
No, it was the talk. So basically, what
Okay.
happened is that so our we have an office in Fargo, North Dakota, and then we have an office in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota as well. So not to mention Fargo's like right in the border. So like I could probably do some Minnesota. So I'm like, well, let's get improved in Minnesota too, because then we can do it at our Trailix office. I could do some in
Right.
Moorhead and whatever. Well, I went through the process once. It was still painful, but it was easier, because I knew what they needed. I knew the outlines that needed to be done, the process. Like I had a little more, man, okay, this is already approved in North Dakota. It
Right.
had a little more legs along the way. So we got it approved in Minnesota. It was for the talk, not the person. So
Yep.
we could go do it there and whatever else. So yeah, it was a cool process of doing it that way because it's like, oh, we gained some traction, we did it, so we got approved in Minnesota, and we can do it there too. So yeah, it was kind of a is kind of a process. Each, we'll probably get into this, but each state's a little different. Like meaning, some of them it's like, okay, the course is approved, but they also need like a CV for the doc, meaning like the doc then also has to. So there's like
Right.
there's one more stuff. Each state's different. There's some states that just flat out or suck, so like
Wisconsin is one of them.
100%. Yep.
It's so interesting being in Wisconsin, like how universal across the board, how many people are like, oh, yeah, Wisconsin. Like,
Mhm.
wild. You would
Yeah.
not think it's Wisconsin and being super
Yeah.
strict on CE, but
And there's some like, and I think this is where the Camp Wisconsin um, kind of followed into is like you have to have like the American Dental Association, or you have to somehow be tied into them to like then deliver it. So would it be a possibility down the road? Sure. But like right now, it's like I'm not going to take on the American Dental Association or try to do that at the moment.
right.
So yeah. So that's kind of where we're at.
Interesting. I'm just fascinated. I love brand new innovative ideas. Like they're just cool because like you said, marketing hasn't changed, but this is such a creative way.
Mhm.
Because I'm exhausted with begging people to let me tell them how cool chiropractic is.
Yeah. Or trying to think of new ways to do it. Like is kind of the thing. And I think that's my challenge to everybody is that if you can take something you loved 5 years ago, 7 years ago that really, really worked, is there a way to put a new coat of paint on it, to change it, to revolutionize a little bit, to make it like super 2025 like savvy? And you'll probably love doing it now again, right? So it's finding that. For us, it was workshops. Some of you listening, maybe workshops as well. We just found a very creative new way to do that. That doc we were talking about before we kind of came on, I'd be like, wow, how could you revolutionize screenings in 2025? Like, man, if someone could figure that out, I'd give them my credit card. Like, how do you make like screenings 2025 cool? Like, I don't really want to go sit at a home builder show again, but is there like a way to do that, in nowadays? So I think it's any of those things is like, wow, I love doing that. That was super effective for our practice. How can we how can we do that now to make it more effective?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of touched on, I like the mom in the grocery
Mhm.
store and like, oh, I wouldn't go up to her anymore. And we have all these stories in our head of like, well, I learned that I wouldn't want to be approached or da 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 da. Da. And like, I always reference it as like, oh, you've lost your new girl energy. So,
Mhm.
like, whether you're a boy or a girl,
Yep.
like, I call it your new girl energy. And that is the like the stage of your career where you're just so enthusiastic and you haven't been beaten down and told no or embarrassed or this or that. And you got bills to pay.
Yeah.
So you are motivated.
Yeah.
And then people like 100% of the time when I'm talking to someone who they're growing, and then they're like, I just can't
Mhm.
get past this point. It's like, yeah, maybe it's a space limitation, but like mindset limitation is it's almost 100% of the time that. And in other words, it's like, yeah, you lost your new girl energy.
Yep.
You
You-
got
You've started to calculate the cost that it's going to take to get there. You knew the cost to take you to this point, and you're just not willing to pay that cost anymore. It's kind of like you're not attached to the right things anymore. You're like,
don't want to give up your Saturday morning. You
yeah,
don't.
the cost of me to have to spend another night or to go do this or to, do whatever, that cost is just too high for me now. And most of it's not a dollar amount cost. It's a time cost, a stress cost, whatever cost, and I think it's just that idea of like, well, I'm not willing to pay that cost anymore. And some of that's okay. Like, that now that like, whatever,
Mhm.
maybe it's time to optimize where you're at or, increase your profit margin where you're at or, whatever that may be. But it's truly just, I love that actually. I might use that new girl energy. It might not sound the same coming from me.
You got snap your finger.
You
Try
got that
doing
new
that.
girl energy. Yeah.
That might help.
Uh,
Yeah, I like that better.
yeah, but it just you're calculating the cost in your mind and you're just not willing to pay it. And
Mhm.
so you're like, oh, I'm stuck here. Well, you're not stuck here. You're just not willing to pay the cost to get to that next level, which may be fine. But if you want to go to the next level, you have to be willing
And
to pay.
everyone says they want to, but then they're just not willing to do the cost. And so it's like, all right, find something that you, like you said, that you are willing, that you're excited about. And I mean, I think there's the 7-year and 15-year itch for sure, where it's just like, I got a damn decompression machine and shockwave at the 15-year itch. Like, I don't know, I'm bored. I need to do more things. Like so it's just finding something that's exciting to you again. And then there comes that new surge of energy.
Yeah, 100%. It's finding that new, like, oh, that's exciting again, or whatever it may be. And I think it's important to find that. You have to find that because it's that energy is contagious. And when we had that time, it was like, why is there times when like you're attracting all of this, and there are times when you're not, and it is probably that energy. So how do you find that new girl energy?
Okay, so final question. So we kind of skipped some boring steps, but this was working well in Fargo in Minnesota. And I'm assuming you had a light bulb moment that was kind of like, I just went through a ton of work. This is a good idea. This could help other chiropractors. And so other chiropractors can buy this program,
Yeah.
or like, can you explain more how somebody doesn't have to reinvent this wheel?
Yeah. And I think every time I tell a story, it just makes me sound dumber, but I'm going to keep going anyway. I didn't have that light bulb idea at all. Right. I was just like, wow, this is like a really exciting marketing strategy that we're like,
For my clinics.
yeah, that we're loving. Like, this is so great. And again, I do a lot of stuff with Christy Wick. We have some, different consulting stuff so we're talking all the time. Right. And I was just filling her in on this. And I'm like, this is so great. We got approval in North Dakota, Minnesota. And like the light bulb went off for her. I'm still talking, like going through my thing. And she's like, I want to do this in Wisconsin. I was like, yeah, you should. Like,
Yeah.
here's all the stuff, like, let's get it approved. And but she's like, but I know like lots of docs would like to do this. Like lots of places would like to do this. Like, let's like find a way for them to do this. Right. There was just a couple things that like, and again, you've been around and been sold things over the days. I knew what I didn't want it to be. Right. I don't want this some like ongoing monthly thing or whatever. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like
You're
I
like,
want,
I've evolved. Whatever that step is where I'm done with continual maintenance, I'm done.
I don't want you to have to do this. I don't want you to do that. I also don't want you to have to go through like a 27 module program to be able to launch this thing. It's not that freaking confusing, right? So what we did is for all 50 states, we started the process of approval. So for all 50 states, we're at different stages of approval. I think
Is there
there's
a list somewhere? Like, is it on the
yeah,
landing page of
on the
like,
landing page, and we'll have all of the links below. We got a kind of a special for Lauryn's podcast listeners, so all that'll be kind of down here. You can go see the states that are there's 16 states now, I think, that are like ready to go, like North Dakota, Minnesota. That's on there. Like Iowa is on there, Montana. Um, Man, let me go through the list. Kentucky. I mean, there's a lot of states. You can go in there and see them, right? And then there's another set. We color coded all these, like green, good to go. The yellow ones are kind of like, they just need that last step, meaning the course is approved. They need your doctor's CV. They need, it's maybe like $100 fee to the state to be able to do it. We kind of like took it to the point we could, and it's just your thing to kind of go from there. And then there's some states that just suck, like that don't approve, or it's just too big of a hurdle. The cool thing about the program, there's a module or a part in there, like how to make this work in a state that doesn't work. Meaning, I did the first one of these before it was approved in North Dakota, right? So I did it before it was approved in North Dakota. And all I did is I lowered the amount of what I charged, right? So like there's other little nuances to it as well, but you could probably go charge $500 if you're giving CEs to the whole office. Like, but like, an office that like, wow, I really want my staff to not deal with all this stuff, they'd still probably pay you $100, $200 to come in and deliver this workshops. There's all the nuances there if your state sucks in there. If your state's already approved, it's an absolute no-brainer, right? But you basically would go inside the program is the workshop itself, Canva, PowerPoint, Keynote, all done for you. And we say in there, like I give an example of me giving the talk in there, but I'm hoping that like stud amazing chiropractors buy this. And if you have a great way to describe chiropractic, or you're a specialist on something, add it in there. Like, don't my part, add your part, do whatever you want to it. It's done for you, but make it you. We have all the marketing materials in there, like the emails we sent to offices, the handouts that we brought, PDFs to bring them. Part of the thing that requires for like the CE part is like a certificate of completion for each person that attends.
oh yeah,
That's all done for you in there. You literally just put their name in and print them. Again, all of that's in there. But the great thing about it is I think it's like a total of like 2 hours of video, right? CA can watch it. You can watch it. The whole idea of it and what I wanted it to be is you just buy this thing, like, there may be in a year to like it updates for it a couple $100 or something, but it's literally not like I'm paying $5.99 a month for this thing. Buy it, go nuts. It's all in there for you. You could buy it on a Sunday, start launching it on Monday.
Yeah. So whether you realize this or not, Jake, you hit on a huge trend happening in content creation, like in courses and memberships and stuff right now, that everybody in my world in the algorithm is talking about how people want less. Like they will give you more money for less. So like you just realizing like, well, I'm going to charge appropriately for this thing. What most people do is they're like, well, I should probably have like a 6-hour module that teaches how to da 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 da. And it's like, fuck, no, they don't want that. 2 hours cover all the problems I'm going to do. Give me the printouts, give me the this. So like, good job. You're
And
being
honestly, there's some videos you wouldn't have to watch. I mean, you could probably get it all done in 45 minutes if you wanted.
It's like, don't watch this one unless you really.
If you don't want to watch me give like half of it is me giving it. So if you don't want to watch me do it, you go nuts. Like don't even worry about it. But yeah, 100%. Like
Can CAs deliver the talk in some states?
They probably could.
I wonder because if it's the educational component, I wonder if you got approved because it's like you are qualified to deliver that information.
That's a great question. I know the course approved, but I'm like also the one doing it, like credential
Yeah.
there. But yeah, it's a very good idea to do. I know that like for us, for example, our CAs do all of the legwork, and then
Yeah.
I show up to deliver it.
Yeah.
So that part's great. If you have a dynamic CA who's just like could run with that, try it. I will tell you that like you have dentists hygienists, orthodontists. They're very educated people. They have some questions that are off the wall at times that like
What's the hardest question that you've got?
sometimes there was one dentist I'm thinking of was like very analytical, like engineering, whatever, and like something on the scan, like, you know, we were talking about scans or whatever, and I was like, I have no idea like about that. Here's the website. You can, you know,
Right.
yeah, here's the email. You can email them, ask that question. But sometimes it's just that way. So sometimes if you can do that, the other thing that's nice is like I said, if you can get people to know, like, and trust you, see that you're pretty normal, relatable, that kind of thing, I think it goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, to do that. But this is like we've have docs doing it now, where they haven't logged into the program. Like their CAs are like, you know, downloading the stuff, you know, sending out the emails, working on the drop-offs, like all of that kind of thing. So, you know, that part is all staff driven. So it's very nice that way. So yeah, it's a great thing. It's also, Laura and I were joking about, you know, she's like, oh, at the end, I'm going to ask you about it. I'm like, I'll probably forget. So I'm glad you asked. I am such a like, if this fits in you and you like love workshops and this seems like it's up your alley, whatever, then awesome. Like, get it. Love to have you do it. If not, take whatever I talked about today and how do you morph it into what you're doing right now? Don't buy it. Like, don't do it if that's like not something that's up your alley or you hated doing workshops when you did them. Well, then don't do this, right?
Well, I mean, it's really freaking affordable too. Like it's $9.98.
Yeah.
Like, and kind of back
$1,000
to
one
the
time. Yeah.
and like,
One of these, it literally pays for itself because you can
oh
charge.
my God. Yes. And so this is kind of the like, if you don't see the ROI
Mhm.
in that, like, I don't know, this workshop isn't going to save your clinic because you have not only lost your new girl energy, you are like thinking small and not problem solving. So,
Yeah, well,
um,
no, I appreciate that, Lauren, and it's truly just one of the things where we talked about at the beginning about consulting and coaching, what we've seen, if we change, has it changed? I've just got to the point where it's like, if you see value in this and you want to do it, man, hop in. There's, you know, a Facebook group to help you if you have questions or you're stuck. There's all the normal things you get with everything. But if it just doesn't move you, if this isn't like, well, I don't, then don't do it. Like,
yeah,
use everything we talked about today. Find your thing, get your new girl energy back. What is it that drives you? What is it that moves you? What is it something that fires you up about marketing? And you know what? You'll probably be telling us all about it on Lauren's podcast, you know, at some point about,
right.
hey, this is a cool thing I'm doing. Like, cool. That's awesome.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, well, I really appreciate you coming on. First of all, I thought it was cool, just a cool idea, like just such a unique thing. Um, but also like I have people approach me. This is gonna surprise you, I'm sure. But I have people DMing me daily. Hey, I have this amazing program for chiropractors and
Weird.
this
I
and that.
can't
And I'm
imagine this.
like,
Yeah.
rah, rah, rah. I'm just kind of like, I've done so many episodes now too at this point where it's like, that's not exciting or whatever. And I don't know them. And so like, because one, I thought this was just such a cool idea to like, like you said, even if this isn't your thing, like this should inspire you to like, oh yeah, wake the fuck up and like think creatively. Like you don't want to do that marketing thing, come up with something you do want to do. That's cool and new. But also I just knew that like from our long time being friends that like I knew you would just deliver so much value and truth. And so I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I don't even know what links I'm gonna have because I don't have them in but like they will be below. There
Yeah.
will be links.
The
I
program is
just
so
trust
upright. It's like something upright. It'll let you
somebody in
go.
my life will send me an email. Hey, I am editing Jake's episode. Is there supposed to be a link? And I'll be like, oh yes. Let me
And
find
how
it.
great is that? I think this works out so perfectly that I don't even know the link. Like if you were to say, "Hey Jake, what's like?" I have no idea.
I don't know.
The program's called Upright. I'm
Yep.
sure you could maybe find it.
My
But we'll have links. Lauren's
There will be links.
there will
We
be
trust
stuff for
that
you.
our people between now and the time it's released will get their shit together
Yeah,
and
somebody will
provide
figure it out.
links.
Yeah.
Oh, Jake, thank you
Well, thank
so,
you.
so much.
Yeah, and I love Lauren, like you've earned the right to be able to do that because like it's been awesome to see you as a friend. And like I loved how you said at the beginning, like if you're catching brother sister energy, it just gives me the credit for that one.
You're like, what is wrong? Why are they so mean to each other?
But it's been super cool to watch what you've done with this podcast, and you should be extremely proud. Like it is something that is moving the needle. It is something that people are tuning into, and it is. They come here because they trust what you have to say, and you're bringing lots of great content. So I was honored to be on, but you should be incredibly proud for what you built here. It's pretty cool to see.
Oh, thanks, Jake. All right, She Slayers. So we will have the links for you below. And until next week, bye.